Recently, there have been many videos that are dedicated to persons new to Canada. A few have been done by Jamaicans, and I see quite a bit being done by Africans. Today, I want to talk about your main do's and don'ts. And my mind is centered around finances and getting settled. Now, as I talk through this, you know my mind. Something else might pop into it. And if it does, you are going to be the first to hear what it is, hopefully. So, as you may or may not know, I migrated to Canada. Ooh, many, many years ago as a student, as a child. My father, a Canadian citizen, filed for me, and at age 16, I left the beautiful shores of Jamaica for cold, stormy, below 40-degree Celsius weather. And I tell you, you should watch some of my other videos as I speak of my trauma and my shock about my Canadian entry. But today we're going to talk economics, at least for the first instance. Now, if you are new to Canada as an adult, you have been filed for by a family member, you have the advantage of hopefully not having to seek accommodation the day you land. And as such, your first set of steps would probably include those persons or that person who brought you into the country showing you around. One of the don'ts I want to start out with, however, is do not lean totally on everything that they say. And you might say, huh? Yep. Particularly if your family member comes from, shall I say it? I'm going to say it, Jamaica. And I'm not being bad. I found in my time in Canada that the Jamaican community, because they stick so close together, I don't think they really become Canadian. And you might say, huh? What do you mean by that? Their knowledge is passed down from Jamaican to Jamaican. Now, my discovery is that Jamaicans are not as adventurous as they would like to think, particularly in Canada. They form a close knit bond with those who are already in country, and I think they accept as gospel all that is being told to them. And I'll give you a simple example before you come at me. When I returned to Canada, because I was landed, I was there just for a month. I left. I was on a scholarship to do a year in Spain, and at the end of that, I didn't return. Short of that story, I chose not to return to Canada. And when I happened to go back many years later, it was seen in the system that I was a landed Canadian immigrant 20 odd years before, and the immigration officer advised me that I should not be on a visa, which is how I entered. I needed to go regularize my status. So this is how my new to Canada in the 2000s, after being landed in the 1980s, became a thing. Now, upon being reintroduced into Canada, I started the process to obtain my health card. And when I got it in the mail, I was having a conversation with an aunt who had lived there over 30 years. She had adult children who were born there. And I said to her, I'm going to go back to Cambridge, which is where I live. She was in Toronto. I'm going to go back to Cambridge and I'm going to find a doctor. Of course, at that time, and I think it's even worse now, finding a personal doctor to be assigned to you was hard. But one of the benefits of living out of the very strongly populated areas is that there's greater potential, not only to find a doctor, to find a job, to access support, all of these things. And so, in just one walk into a medical facility, a complex, I was able to identify a doctor who was open to add patients, and in no time flat, after the first visit, I was assigned my personal doctor. Now, I bring this up because I want to point to the conversation that my aunt had with me. Her first her first bit of advice was be careful how you present your health card to the doctor, because it has been said, and people have had the experience where they present their health card, but because they're new to Canada, they are denied medical attention. And of course, me being me, I mean, I'm a 30, what, I don't know, 36-year-old adult, mother, wife, business owner, world traveler. I'm saying, what? Stupidness. And so I went to the doctor. I did my 18 or so blood works, which is usually the starter process, just to have you set up in the system. They want to know where you are medically at the starting point, so they will know how to treat you, how to attend to you, how to maneuver in all aspects of your care. And so that's what I did. Now, my doctor, Dr. Sarah, I can't forget her, very nice woman, Caucasian. She was very, very attentive. And after spending, oh, I would probably say a week fulfilling all of the requirements in terms of getting the blood test done, setting up my profile, I was good to go. I was now in the Canadian system as it relates to healthcare. And I had to say to myself, can you imagine if I had listened to this aunt? I would have been entering scared as a duck, wondering what is going to happen to me. And I must pause here to say this. I have seen this in Canada and I'm seeing it now in the States, where fearmongering seems to be so rampant in the minds of immigrants. You always seem to have somebody telling you you do not really belong. You are not really authorized to get the benefits. You are not really legitimately here, and you're not really, supposed to get what you are entitled to as a landed immigrant. And of course, I say to that, hogwash. There was another situation that popped up in my head, and then it popped out. Hey, what can I tell you? Welcome to my mind. But I'll jump forward and I will start talking finances. As a Caribbean national, one of the things that you will find is that Scotiabank, which is a Canadian bank, has set up itself very, very strongly across the Caribbean. And as a new to Canada individual, my strong recommendation is that you open an account with Scotiabank. No, 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 this is not me plugging positively for Scotiabank because they're all that and a kettle of fish. I have had a tumultuous relationship with Scotiabank Jamaica, but Scotia Canada turned out to be a wonderful entryway into the whole world of banking. And I'm going to stay right here for a little bit because without going into another story, I have stories. Oh my God, I have stories. And if you want to hear how my social was stolen and used, you need to comment social down in the comments. Yeah. But approaching Scotiabank in my city of Cambridge, I was able on my second visit to open several accounts. I was able to open a new to Canada account, which came with some wonderful benefits. I was able to, of course, not only open a checking account, which of course is your starter account. I was also able to open a savings account. Along with that, I was offered, in my mind, the keys to the kingdom, because one of the benefits at that time of a new to Canada client is that the bank would do many things to assist you in getting settled. So I was immediately offered a safety deposit box because they know more than I do that I need to have a safe place to store documents. And that was free of charge. I was offered credit right away. And this is something I want you to know. My credit card issued by Scotiabank Jamaica turned out to be an accepted ID in Canada. Not only that, Scotia was able to access all my records in real time on screen at Scotiabank Jamaica. And so they were able to validate me. It blew my mind. I didn't even know that was a thing. They were able to validate me as a business operator. They were able to validate my term of relationship with Scotiabank, which was many, many years. I mean, I had my first Scotia Jamaica account. I'm going back to when I started working at Beaches Boscobel under Super Clubs, which was 1992, maybe. And this we're talking about was 2011. And so, right there in that office on my first visit to open my account, Scotiabank qualified me with the help of my Scotia Jamaica International credit card. They qualified me for $1,000 credit limit. But wait, it gets better. Within less than 6 months, I was approved for an additional $1,000 credit limit, because you see, there are people who are telling a lot of fear mongering stories about credit cards, and my experience has been totally different. Your credit card is a tool. Use it. It is not an emergency get out of jail ticket. Use it instead of checks, use it instead of debit, and use it instead of cash. So, very simply, I'm spending $200 today. I put it on my card. So it's grocery, it's gas. Oh, and let's go back. The cash backs. You, depending on the card you have chosen, might benefit from cash back on petroleum, on gas at the pump. You might benefit on grocery. You might benefit on travel. So choose a card that seems right for you. As a new to Canada individual, you might get a starter card. And whatever that starter card is, that's a benefit. For me, I had gotten a, oh my, I'm tempted to say Magna, but I can't be sure. Whatever it was, it gave me points for the movies. So I got movie tickets. I'm sure it gave me something else. But I use the movie tickets because being with family at the time, And being in a situation where I felt that I was always expected to be happy and, shine, and I was like the center of attention, and not necessarily in a good way. There were days I just needed to be alone. And so, because I used my card for everything, I was able to amass movie ticket benefits in no time. And eventually, they actually sent me a separate standalone card that I could swipe, and so that I was usually able to use to redeem my tickets at the movies, my popcorn, whatever it is that the cinema was offering. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. My mind is absolutely on point, because I also got points towards food, not Chick-fil-A, that's US. Montana's and Kelsey's, and there was a chicken place that did wonderful um, mixed plates. Anyway, that was many years ago. It still exists, but I can't remember all of this detail. However, suffice it to say, my credit card became a lifeline for so many things. And as I spent, I was building up my Canadian credit. Another offer that they gave me, which, if it is still available, take that offer. It was almost an instant pre-qualification towards a mortgage. Didn't take that up, but ask about it when you go to your bank, because within that first year, they're looking to get you settled, and there are many charges and fees and qualifications that will be waived within your first year or two, just to get you started. Another benefit that was available to me was car purchase situation, whatever it was. So if I was about to purchase a car, I would go back to Scotiabank, and based on the new to Canada rules that they had, the financing was 100%. So wonderful. I mean, wonderful. No, I'm not saying that's what's going on now. That was 2011. But just to say, there are benefits. Ask about it. I learned a lot about New to Canada by signing up at the local YMCA in Cambridge, staffed by immigrants and Canadians alike. The flow of information was unbelievable. There were also centers that you could go in and you could use the internet for free. Mark, you back then, internet was not like available everywhere. I did not yet have a cell phone with a plan. Excuse me. And even though we had internet at home, being in an environment where you could get advice, where you could be guided, it just made sense to use the internet there. Now, the last thing I will mention in this particular video as it relates to banking, I walked into TD Canada Trust armed with my newly minted Scotiabank credit card and my Jamaican credit card. These were now my IDs. It makes no sense if you don't understand. Just accept it. And TD Canada Trust happily opened my savings and checking account. They also issued me a credit card on the spot. And so within the space of, I would say, 3 months, I had several bank accounts, I had several set of checks, and I had two credit cards. But it gets better. And I say all of that to say it's a game. Learn the game. Play the game. My experience is the Asians, the Indians, the Pakistanis, the what's these people? The ones who really helped me a lot were the people from Afghanistan. They learn the rules. They find the easiest way, the shortcuts. They find the way to get things done, and that's what they do. They're not out there languishing in the snow, trying to figure life out. They are going to the source. They're looking for the benefits. They're looking out for the options. And those are the things that they are playing into right away. Now, I know that I had planned to just focus on money. But one of the things that struck me very, very quickly as I got there as a non driver was the transportation system. Now, if you live in Toronto, that might be not the case, or maybe even now things might be different. But I realized that getting a bus pass and living very, very close to where everything was happening was paramount. And so, in all honesty, I never really saw the need in a very strong way to drive because the network of transportation was of such that I could pretty much get around anywhere, almost anytime. I mean, my time was within reason. I'm not a party person, I'm not out after hours clubbing. So with the bus system and the bus schedules and all of that, I was able to get around. I was able to survive. I was able to thrive. And so as we come to the close of this video, I'm going to invite you to subscribe. I realize I do not do that invitation enough. And I'm also going to request that you click the notification bell because wonderful content comes out almost every day and you might miss something and have to wait until it's suggested. So subscribe to this channel, Sheri says. You click that notification bell and you want to share these videos because the golden nuggets that will be dropped here, they are worth sharing. You can't afford to miss them. So remember, if you want to learn more about my social being used, stolen, and fraud being committed against me, type in the comments social. Sheri has lots to say. Ciao for now.